Did you guys know we recently hit 1,000 subscribers here on YouTube? Well, we'd actually be at more like 6,000 if the 85% of you returning viewers actually hit the subscribe button. You scroll down just a little bit and there's going to be a subscribe button for you guys right here. You can even hit like on the video or share it with your friends too while you're down there. And our description box down below also has links to all of the different socials I have. And the best part is you can even leave a comment telling me how much you enjoyed the video, or didn't. I don't care, it's your life. Subscribing doesn't take anything but that 1 second of time, and it really helps make sure that you don't miss any of my uploads. So if you are enjoying watching all of my content, it helps you out, and it helps me out. Now that you've done that, let's get back to the video. What is going on, guys? Ninja Nick, we are back with another round of the Champions League in Japan. Here we have a Mew VMAX deck versus what looks like probably a Rapid Strike deck here on the right. I've never seen that type of hollow, but that's like a... That kind of looks like the same as the EXs, where it's like sparkly all over it. It's not my favorite type of rarity. They called them Starfoil in Yu-Gi-Oh! Back when I played that. Probably like everybody's least favorite. But then they also had Dual Terminal, and everybody loved Dual Terminal, even though Dual Terminal was just Starfoil, but if instead of stars it was polka dots. Like, I don't know. The later Dual Terminal had like a Shatter Foil, we called it, which was like if you broke glass, like that's what it looked like. And that's probably one of my favorite type of like reverse hollows. So we do start with the Battle VIP Pass for Mew, of course. We are going to be able to find 2 Mew Vs to put onto the bench here. Do we have another Battle VIP Pass? Do we have a Cramomatic? Nope, looks like we do have an Ultra Ball. We'll be getting rid of the Cleansing Gloves. That is a tech for the Gardevoir EX matchup. You attach that to your Mew to be able to do additional damage to the Gardevoir EX. Because it is Psychic type. It also works in the mirror match as well if you're playing against another Mew VMAX. Gonna get rid of an INO as well. Usually these Mew decks only play one INO, so we might have to see a PAL Pad come in later to recycle that, but we might just see some judges for the rest of the game. It depends on if this is the Double Turbo Mew or if this is the Fusion Strike Mew, which we have not been able to identify just yet. Obviously, Mew VMAX is a Fusion Strike Pokemon. You do play pretty much exclusively Fusion Strike Pokemon in your deck, usually, but by Fusion Mew, we usually mean that to be the Fusion Strike energies. And sometimes you only play the double turbos in it. You play 4 double turbos, and then they call it like DTE Mew. Which is my preferred way to play it, just because it's a little bit more consistent. But I think in the format, when you have Spiritomb around, you really have to play the Fusion Strike Energy version just to make sure, especially also with Charizard EX in the format. With 4 Fusion Strike Energies, you can Melodious Echo for 280 plus whatever you have in Power Tablets as well. So you can potentially knock out a Charizard VMAX in one hit. So I think with the way the current meta is shaped, you have to play Fusion Strike, or the Fusion version. But Double Turbo is picking up a lot more popularity again because so many people are cutting Spiritomb from their decks. But you go against a Spiritomb, you lose. My friend James Steele did play DTE Mew to Pittsburgh. He almost convinced me to play it. But it was the first tournament where Obsidian Flames was legal, so I was a little too afraid of Charizard to play it. And, of course, round 1, he hit Charizard, and round 2, he hit a Spiritomb. So he started 0-2. But he ended 5-3-1, so he still did better than me, so it's not like I'm better. It's not like I did any better than him. I went 3-3-3. Because when you don't hit those matchups, you still do pretty darn good. So yeah, it looks like this is the standard Rapid Strike deck. We're going to see Inteleon VMAX as well as Urshifu VMAX. This is pretty much an auto loss. Mew should win every single time against this deck. There are ways that you can beat it, which would be this Spiritomb, especially if this is the double turbo version. But you really need to, like, rapid flow knock out two Genesects at the same time, and that's, like, not very possible. If you're also playing, like, Boss's Orders or Giacomo, that can help as well, but a lot of the times it's just not quite doable. You really need to time your Cheryl very well. You take damage on one Inteleon, you retreat into the other Inteleon, maybe they whiff the boss's orders, and then you Cheryl heal both of your Inteleon VMAXs simultaneously. We are going to see the INO here from this Inteleon player. They are not putting down the Urshifu for good reason, and that is because the Urshifu is Psychic Weak. That is a very easy 2 prizes for the Mew VMAX deck to take. So I'm going to bank on this being the DTE version of Mew, and maybe the Spiritomb will actually carry this match. Because the Spiritomb could actually make this Mew deck not very good, and then they can kind of trade 2 shots. It is kind of hard to trade 2 shots though, because Double Gunner doesn't like do it to the active ever, so you have to... It's a very odd matchup, it really is. As long as there are Fusion Strike energies in this deck, I'm saying favor to Mew, because the Fusion Strike energies also block the abilities of your opponent's Pokemon, so you can't Double Gunner the Pokemon that the Fusion Strike energies are attached to. But by having the Spiritomb, you are forcing the Genesects to have Fusion Strike energies. But then by doing that, you're making it so your own Double Gunners can't hit the Genesects, which is what you have to do to win the matchup. So, Spiritomb very bad in this matchup, even though it's very good in this matchup, for fun's sake there. So we do see the boss's orders is going to bring up the Spiritomb. This might actually be DTE Mew. I still have not seen a single Fusion Strike energy or an Elisa Sparkle from any of these hands that we've seen so far. And we did boss up the Spiritomb. That is telling me that this is DTE Mew. And yeah, taking that knockout there is pretty huge. Because now there is no way for this Inteleon deck to be able to shut off these Genesects unless we do play the Clara. And it looks like we are going to attach a second Water Energy for turn. Usually you prefer this to be the Rapid Strike Energy, because you can always return 1 energy card to your hand with the attack of the Inteleon VMAX in order to do an additional 70, so base 70 plus 70. And usually you want to return the Water Energy to your hand so that you have it again for Double Gunner. But I guess if you have double Water Energy, it's still fine. So, looks like we are going to use an Energy Search. That's a very old art of that. I want to say that's from, like, either Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald era, or Fire Red, Leaf Green era, or Diamond and Pearl era. I can't quite... It's got to be Diamond and Pearl era, right? Because of the border on that card. Anyway, we're going to Double Gunner here. Probably the 2 Genesects would make the most sense. Looks like we're going to put 2 onto one of the Mews and 2 onto another one of the Mews. Trying to soften them up so that they are 2 shots with the Inteleon VMAX. So yeah, it looks like we are definitely not going to be going for any Urshifus this game, it seems like. Because you do have the bench space to put down an Urshifu now. You just never VMAX it until the turn you're going to Rapid Flow with it. And you just hope your opponent doesn't, like, boss it up ever. So the Alakazam did move 2 of those damage counters off of one of the Mew Vs to the active Mew VMAX, and then hit it for 140 by returning the energy to hand. So there's 160 on this Mew, and if we just do that same play again next turn, we do get the knockout on this active. So this player on the left is trying to figure out if there's a way they can Psychic Leap this turn. That would not be too bad of a play, but of course by doing that, you're also allowing them to just get a hit on like a Mew V, and then you're still in the same spot. So Rapid Strike player doing it very well here. We're gonna Pal Pad back in Double Boss after playing Boss to get rid of a Remoraid here. We are going to use this to go back onto even prize cards, and yes, it looks like we might be going for the Psychic Leap here because of the double turbo, we're doing 70 minus 20 is 50, and then with this one power tablet, that is actually buffed back up to 80 damage, and we will be able to Psychic Leap, knock out this Remoraid, shuffling this Mew VMAX back into the deck, effectively healing it off completely, and you can promote this other Mew VMAX and maybe do the same play again on the next turn, and then just have to go through one Inteleon VMAX in order to win the match. So by making sure you don't have any damage in play, you are disallowing your opponent to take any prize cards ever, and that's a pretty great way to go about that. So it looks like we're going to use a couple of Genesects here, just drawing some more cards, trying to figure out exactly what we can do here. Did we use Technoblast last turn is a key question here as well. Because if we use Technoblast last turn, we might not actually be able to use... we might not be able to actually use this Mew VMAX to attack this turn without like a switching card. You'd have to find like retreat switch cart or something. Yeah, just a pass. So wasted that power tablet, and now you have a full, pretty well damaged Mew VMAX in the active. This is a huge opportunity for this Rapid Strike player. It looks like the stadium must have gotten lost zone by the Lost Vacuum. So that is something you are going to have to find here, but we do have the Ultra Ball to get the Octillery. The Octillery will evolve from the Remoraid, being able to find yet another one of these Tower of Waters to give your Pokemon that have the Rapid Strike trait on them free retreat. So he might be playing a supporter first, because of course if you draw into that, you could always Rapid Strike search with your Octillery into something else. Like another Inteleon VMAX wouldn't be too bad. So we are going to use Double Gunner. I would say 2 to the Mew VMAX on the bench, 2 to the Mew V, and then move those 2 from the Mew VMAX to the active. You'll need to attach an energy for turn. And yeah, you just need the Stadium card. So this is actually a pretty good place to be in if you're this Rapid Strike player. And yeah, here comes the Stadium card coming out of the deck. Tower of Waters will allow you to retreat for free. Tower of Waters, of course, being the place where you evolve Kubfu into Rapid Strike Urshifu. That is why there's a picture of Kubfu on the top of that tower. For those who... I know there's a lot of people who play the TCG and don't know anything about the video game. So sometimes I try to explain that because I play both. I don't play VGC. VGC is really good, though. I'm just very, very bad at it. I'm very bad at it. Like, very bad at it. I tried it a little bit. I was streaming it beginning of Sword and Shield during peak pandemic time. But I kept getting frustrated because I kept misplaying. I wasn't that bad. I mean, my first team I ever took out was Trick Room Torkoal, so... was playing like Dusknoir and stuff. Dusknoir for Trick Room. Torkoal is super fast in Trick Room because it's slow normally. So it looks like we have used an additional Double Gunner as well, and we were able to use our attack. Putting that energy back into our hand yet again to do 140, taking that 3 prize knockout, and now we're actually ahead in this matchup, which is very surprising to see. But that one turn whiff from this Mew was very relevant. I think that Spiritomb might have slowed down the Mew just enough being forced to have to boss that up, maybe that gave this Inteleon player enough time to be able to piece together this knockout. I had a lot of faith in this Inteleon deck back when it was just like Inteleon. Back pre-rotation, I did play against this. My first regional back after coming back from the whole hiatus after 2019 Worlds and COVID. It was Secaucus Regionals. I played against an Inteleon VMAX deck round 2, and I had full faith in it. I'm just like, as soon as you can make this deck consistent, it's going to be meta relevant. And then when I saw people playing it with Urshifu right before NAIC, I'm just like, oh, this is the deck for me. Cramomatic, discarding Cramomatic, we're going to flip a coin, and if heads, we get any card from our deck we want, and it looks like it is, in fact, heads. These dice are really cool. My friends, some of my friends picked up some of those from NAIC because the vendors there had them. The problem with them, because they're clear, they have regular dice ones and then they have translucent ones. The problem with both of them really is that the numbers on them are so incredibly small I can barely see them. My glasses are huge, man. I can't see that number. I literally have to pick up the die and look at it. It looks like we're going to retreat our Mew into the Mew VMAX. And we have double power tableted. Making sure the damage is correct on these guys, because some of it did get moved around a little bit. And we are going to go for the Psychic Leap with the double power tablet. Thus, we are going to be able to heal some of that damage off of our board. We're probably going to promote the Mew that has no damage on it, I would imagine. And then maybe we try to go for the knockout on this Inteleon VMAX on this next turn. So, if this player has Cheryl and Rapid Strike energy, this could be a huge punish to the Mew player, and you can keep your momentum ahead of your opponent. So there is, what is that? That's 110 for the damage on it. So yeah, definitely think that we should be Cheryling here, because then you can prevent your Pokemon from getting knocked out. It looks like we do have the Cheryl, and we have the Rapid Strike Search in play. Oh, we also have the Rapid Strike energy already, so we don't even need to search for that. So I think here you actually go for your second Octillery. You have everything you need in hand already. Just, if it's in there, find your second Octillery and evolve into it in case one of them gets, like, boss KO'd or something. Yeah, it looks like that's exactly what we're going to do here. Evolve to the second Octillery. You can only use one Rapid Strike Search per turn. So even though you have two Octillery, you can't use both. But it looks like we are going to... Did we search that Forest Seal Stone out of the deck? Oh, we used our opponent's Stadium to find the tool card. So we're going to find our Forest Seal Stone that way, so we can search our deck for any one card. And we do just that. Now, what card did we find? Oh, it is Clara. We're going to get that back, that Spiritomb, shutting our opponent completely off. This is huge. So we don't even need to Cheryl this turn. We can just continue attacking with our active. And it's going to be very unlikely that we're going to see another Mew VMAX attack, because it all just got shuffled into the deck. So now we're just going to start sniping more with these Inteleons, trying to load up as much damage onto the bench as possible. Going to get two double gunners, both onto the benched Mew, I believe, as well as one of the Genesects, the one that has the Box of Disaster on it. Going to move a couple of those to the active, a couple of those damage counters to the active, and then what are we going to do, pass? Or are we going to attack and take the knockout? Because you could always attack and not put the energy back in your hand. Yeah, it looks like it's just a pass. How do I feel about not taking the knockout? I guess this way, either of those Mews becomes a VMAX. And then even if it does get shuffled back into the deck with another Psychic Leap, you're guaranteed to keep the other Mew V in play so that they can get knocked out just by a couple of double gunners, potentially. So I actually like that. 2 double gunners and a movement. Yeah, so this forces both of them to become Mew VMAX just to have more HP. We do have another Ultra Ball, but these Genesects will not be able to do anything this turn because of that Spiritomb. Yeah, I actually like the no attack play there. That's actually pretty huge. Looks like we are going to retreat into the Mew VMAX that has the higher remaining HP. Take the knockout on this Inteleon VMAX. Go down to 2 remaining prize cards, but the only thing that gives more than 1 prize card that your opponent has in play is this Inteleon VMAX. And you're going to have to find some way through that. You're going to have to 2-shot it. And I don't know if you just have enough turns left in this game to be able to get there. We're going to use Rapid Strike Search to find another Tower of Waters, giving us free retreat yet again. And also turning, by replacing this Path to the Peak, we will be able to turn our abilities back on. So the free retreat not mattering here, just getting rid of the Path to the Peak is the more important thing. So we only have access to 1 double gunner, but it looks like there is 170. Is there 170 on this Mew right now? It looks like 3 different color of damage markers, so that should be 160. So we are going to take the knockout with double gunner on the benched Mew, and then we can hit into this active Mew VMAX, which can't attack because it just used Techno Blast. And at the best the opponent can do is just retreat. And maybe if you have a boss's orders, you might be able to take the game off of that Mew VMAX on this next turn. But setting up those Genesect Vs, just in case, is still really good here. We're going to see that Forest Sealstone coming down to the Radiant Alakazam just to thin it from your hand. You've already used your V-Star power, so might as well just get it out just in case your opponent like judges or Ionos you or something. Even though we did see the Palpat already and the Iono go to discard pile, so maybe there's only like 1, or no, there's probably a few judge in the deck. So we are going to hit for at least 70. Looks like we are going to use, yeah, another... yeah, looks like we moved that 100 off. It's supposed to be on there. So yeah, we moved 20 to the active off of one of the bench Pokemon, and then we are hitting for 140, returning the Rapid Strike energy to hand. That's the first Rapid Strike energy we've even used during this entire match. And yeah, what is supposed to be an auto win for Mew VMAX ends up being a very, very bad matchup because of that Spiritomb, because you're not playing those Fusion Strike energies, not having any way out from the Spiritomb, having to boss that up early instead of taking a more meaningful knockout on something like a Remoraid. You could have knocked out 2 Remoraid instead of Remoraid and a Spiritomb, and then maybe neither of those Octillery would be in play. So it looks like we are going to Echoing Horn, bring back the Urshifu V that is in the discard pile that had been discarded earlier. Now we can use Boss's Orders to bring up the Urshifu, but we can't attack unless we have a Switch Cart or just, I guess, an Escape Rope as well. So, gonna thin out as many cards from the deck as possible, it looks like. We are going to find a Mew V for the bench. Forest Sealstone, we've already used our V-Star power though. We're gonna boss up the Radiant Alakazam just to stall for time, and we're gonna try to boss up that Urshifu next turn. And even if it does evolve, it's still gonna get hit for weakness. So this is actually huge, a really great play from this Mew player, identifying that it is impossible for this Rapid Strike player to be able to move the Alakazam unless they have exclusively their one of Escape Rope that they have. Looks like we're just going to see another double gunner. 2 more to Genesect, 2 to the benched Mew V that just came down on this previous turn. And we are going to use Irida to find Escape Rope Luminion. And now we will be able to play Escape Rope, and our opponent will be forced to put up one of the Genesects that has only 2 damage counters on it. You don't want to put that one that has 4 up. That's a little bit easier to knock out. And we will have the Rapid Strike energy, but unfortunately, will this be enough? Because you don't have a way to... Yeah, you're going to evolve into the VMAX anyway, because at this point, if it gets knocked out, either way you lose. So might as well. Attach the Rapid Strike energy. And it looks like the opponent put the Mew V in the active? If they had put a if they had put a Genesect in the active. So these two had 4. This one had, there was one that had 2 damage counters on it, right? So off this Escape Rope, why don't you promote the Genesect that has 2 damage counters on it? Yeah, so see here, instead of promoting this Mew V, why don't you promote like one of these 2 Genesects? Then you get hit for 140, you're left with, you have 160 on you for damage. And then all you need to do is retreat boss and you win. But I guess his hand was just probably small and bad. So he just decided to end it there is probably it. But that was not technically the correct play, but with the Spiritomb in play, it probably was. Just end the game now. As always, guys, do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe and all that. And we will see you guys next time for more 151 action.